Hello friends, welcome back once again to my video tutorial. This is Lipsa again with you. So today I am come up with another new video for you guys, that is transaction management in Spring Boot. So in today's video we will learn what is transaction management and how we can implement transaction management in a Spring Boot application. So let's get started guys. So what is the transaction management day? Transaction management is a sequence of actions that are treated as a single unit of work. Okay. So either that action will entirely complete, or if any disturbance occurs during that transaction, then that transaction should be completely rolled back. Okay. So what is that, you can understand better when I do the coding for it. So without any delay, let me go to my IntelliJ workspace. So let me go to my IntelliJ workspace. So as usual, I have already created a simple Spring Boot Maven project in my workspace to save some time. So this is the Maven project, Spring Boot Transaction Management. So let me expand this project. So let me first quickly show you what is there in the pom.xml, what dependency we exactly need for this project. So this is a simple Maven project. You can see this is the Spring Data JPA I have added, then Spring Boot Starter Web, then MySQL connector for the database, and Lombok. Okay, so I have added the Lombok dependency. So that's it in my pom.xml. So let me close this one. Then let me go to my application.properties file to show you what is there in my properties file. So this is the properties file, application.properties file. You can add the YAML file as well. So here I have put the server port in 1990 so that when my application start, the Tomcat will start on 1990 port. Okay. Then this is the JPA properties. So Spring Data JPA properties I have added. What is my data source URL, username, password, and the SQL properties. So it is a normal properties we need to connect our Spring Boot application to database. Okay. So let me close this one. Then also I have created the controller layer, service layer, and repository layer here. If you can see, this is my controller package. Inside this controller I have created a controller. Then I have the DTO, data transfer object, where I'll receive the request. Okay, then I have the entity. So let me expand this entity package. So in this entity, I have two entities you can see. One is customer, other is address. So customer, let's see what is there in the customer entity. So in the customer entity, I have annotated this class as @entity. Then I have the table name like customer. I want to save this customer details. So I have created this table customer. Then @data Lombok I have used for the getter and setters. Then I have the no-arg constructor annotation and all-arg constructor annotation. So inside this customer class, I have the customer ID, which is a long type ID, then customer name and URL. And this ID, which is primary key, it is a auto generation type. Okay, the primary key will be generated automatically. So that's it inside my customer table. So again, I have another entity, that is address. So let me open the address table. So here I have the address, the table name is address, then I have the ID, address ID, then area, city, country, pin code, and I have one-to-one mapping to customer. So whenever I save a customer object, the customer detail will be stored to the customer table and the address details will be stored to the address table, and this customer ID will be linked to this address table. As you know, this is a one-to-one mapping. Okay, so one customer has one address, or one address belongs to one customer ID. Okay, that's why I have the one-to-one mapping. So the entire transaction means what? Whenever we save a customer object, the data, customer related data should be stored to the customer table and address related data to be stored in the address table. Then only we can say the transaction will be complete. The data is stored entirely in all the table. Okay, if you have more than one table linked to the customer, let's say we want to store the customer info in one table and customer details in the other table, then you can store that one as well by creating other table. Okay, so when all the data will be stored to all the tables, then only we can say the transaction will be complete. Okay, so if any disturbance occurs in the flow, then the transaction should roll back according to the transaction management. So we'll see how it is happening when you go through the details. Okay, so that is my entity. So for these two entity to save the data, so I have created two repository as well. One is customer repository, which extends JPA repository, and as this customer entity and the primary key data type, which is nothing but long. So this is the customer repository, and as it is a repository, I annotate this as repository. Okay. Then go to our address repository. Similarly, I created the address repository to save the address details, which is also extends to JPA repository. So this is the address entity and the address class primary key data type. Clear so far? So we have two entity and we have two repository for each entity to save the data or to deal with the database. Clear? So let me close all those tabs. Then I have a DTO class. This is the customer DTO. So this is the customer DTO in which we will receive all the request parameters like our customer name, customer website, then area, city, country and pin code. Clear? So these two fields will be stored to our customer table and these fields will be stored to our address table. Okay. So that's it in our customer DTO. So now let me go to the controller. So in the controller package, I have created a customer control. Inside this, I have a save customer endpoint is there, which is a post mapping. So you know, to save some data, we have the post mapping. So I have annotated this method as post mapping. And here if you see, I inject the customer service object because inside this customer service object, I have written the business logic to save a customer. So we'll receive the request in this customer DTO class. So I annotate this @request body and pass this customer DTO. Okay. And by using this customer service save customer method, I'll save the customer. Clear so far? And return type of this save customer is what? String. I'll return a string from that save customer method. That's it. Okay. So this is a simple REST controller. Don't worry about the coding and all. So I'll share the GitHub link for this entire project in my description box so that you can download this project and try by yourself. So now we need to go to this save customer method of customer service class to check what is the logic inside this customer service. So let me go to the save customer method. So here in the save customer method, I have annotated this as @service as it says service class. Then I auto add customer repository and address repository because I want to save the customer details to customer table and address details to address table. That's why I need this two repository inside this service class. Clear? Then inside this save customer, I'll receive this customer DTO. Clear? Then I create the object for the customer and set the value, name and URL by getting it from the customer DTO. Clear? Then by customer repository.save method, I save this customer. Then similarly, I create the object for address and set all the parameters from the address object by getting it from customer DTO object. Okay. Then at the last, I set address.set customer because one address belongs to one customer. One-to-one mapping is there, isn't it? So address.set customer, I save this customer, which is saved to our DB, customer DB already. Then finally, I save this address object. Clear? And in the return, I write customer saved successfully and added this customer ID. That's it, a simple logic to save the customer details. Clear? So now, let me run this application and we will see the data is saving to our database or not. So let me quickly run this application, Spring Boot Transaction Management application. So it should create our database which we mentioned in our application.properties file. This one, customer DB. So it should create the customer DB and it will create two entity, that is customer table and address table. Okay. So let me see the console now. Okay. So you can see the customer DB is created successfully and inside this customer DB, we have two tables. One is customer, other is address. Okay. So see here, this is the address table created and this is the customer table created. So my application up and running on port 9090. So let me go to the Postman to check our save customer endpoint. So let me go to my Postman. So this is the Postman and this is the endpoint localhost 9090/save customer. So this is the customer DTO object. Will receive the request in this customer DTO object. Customer name, website, area, city, country, pin code. So it is a post request. So let me hit this endpoint. So see, customer saved successfully. So customer ID is given. So this is nothing but your customer ID, which is 1. So if I go to my DB to check, so let me refresh my DB. See, customer DB is created. So we have the customer table. This is my customer table. Inside my customer, I have the ID, name and URL. Correct. If I go to my address table, then I have the address details like address ID, area, city, country, pin code and customer ID, because we have the address to customer 1-to-1 mapping. So this address ID 1 belongs to which customer ID? Customer ID 1. Clear? So this is the full transaction, right? So we have saved the data to our customer table as well as address table, correct? So let me show you another scenario. So what if when saving the data to our customer table, it is working fine, okay? But while saving the data to our address table, some disturbance occurs during the transaction. Then what will happen? So let me manually disturb this flow of execution, okay? So I want to disturb when the data saved to address table. So how we can disturb the flow? Let's say I assign this address object to null. So what happens? This address object is assigned to null. In the null, I am setting the area, city, country and so on and so forth. So it will definitely throw me a null pointer exception, isn't it? So what happens? Let's mark this one. So I set this to null, then I set the properties. So let's check what is happening here in my DB. So let me stop this application. Okay. So let me rerun this application. Clear? My application started on port 9090. So let me clear this console and go to the Postman and hit it again. So instead of this customer name, let me put like TCS. Then my website will be like tcs.com. Clear? So now I will hit this save customer endpoint. Let's see what happens. So I am getting internal server error. So it is obvious we'll get the internal server error. Why? Let me go to the console. Here you can see null pointer exception thrown because can't invoke com.easy2excel Spring Boot transaction management entity dot address dot set area. So why this error occurs? Because we initialize this object address object as null, and in the null value we are setting this area. So here it will throw the null pointer exception. So we break the transaction flow, isn't it? We break the transaction flow. So according to the transaction management concept, whenever any disturbance occurs in the flow, then all the transactions should be rollback. Okay, all the transactions should be rollback. Either it will complete all the transaction, or if any disturbance occurs, all the transaction will be rolled back. So here up to this line, up to line number 25, everything is fine. So we create the customer object, we set the customer name, we set the customer URL and we save the customer details to customer table. But after this we break the transaction. So even if the customer details we set properly, but we break the transaction in between, isn't it? So all the transactions should be rolled back. There will be no data in the customer table as well as the address table. So let me go to my database. So fine, there is nothing inside the address table. So it is expected. So let me go to my customer table and refresh it. Mark here. You have one entry in the customer table. So customer details is saved successfully, but there is no data in the address as null pointer exception occurs. Okay, but it is not expected, right? So all the transactions should be rolled back if there is some disturbance during the transaction. Correct. So there shouldn't be any data inside the customer table for this transaction, isn't it? This is not an ideal behavior. So to solve this problem, transaction management comes into picture. Okay. So how we can resolve this one? Let me show you. So for this, let me go to my workspace again. So you just need to do one thing. Go to your main class. So this is your main class, Spring Boot Transaction Management Application. So annotate this class as @enable transaction management. Okay, @enable transaction management. So it will enable the transaction management inside your application. So let me save this one. Then go to your service class. Here during the save customer method, you want to do the transaction management. So annotate this method as @transactional. That's it you need to do. @transactional. Clear? Now what happens? The Spring will automatically do the transaction management inside your application. Okay. Either all the transactions should commit to your database, or if any disturbance occurs, the transaction will be rolled back completely. Clear? So now check what happens. Now let me go to my database and completely drop this schema. We'll create the schema again while running our application. Okay. See, there is no customer DB, right? So let me run this application again. Let me stop this one. And run the application again. So it will automatically create the schema and will perform that save customer endpoint again. We'll see what is happening in the database. Okay. So table is created successfully. Address table is there and customer table is there. And my application also started on port 9090. Let me again hit this endpoint. Okay. Just hit this one. See. So we are getting the internal server error, which is expected because we break the transactional flow by setting this address object null. Clear? So here null pointer exception will be thrown because to the null object we are setting the data. Clear? So it will throw the null pointer exception. So it is obvious. So let me go to the database to check whether the data is saved to the customer table or not. Earlier data is saved to the customer table, but as here the null pointer exception will be thrown, the rest of the code will be not executed, as here we break the transaction flow. Clear? So now let me go to the database. Let me refresh this one. So customer DB is created. Let me expand this one. Let me go to the table. So we have the address tables. So there is nothing in the address table. In the customer table, let me go to the customer table. Also there is nothing in the customer table. Understood? Because the transaction is completely rolled back, as we have used this @transactional annotation, and in our main class we have added @enable transaction management. Clear? So this is the benefits of transaction management. So either all the data or all the transactions should be commit, or if any disturbance occurs during the transaction flow, entire transaction will be rolled back. Got it? So that's why this is a simple example of transaction management. Of course, there is more thing is there in the transaction management concept. I'll describe in some other day. So I hope you understand what is the transaction management, why we need transaction management, and how we can implement transaction management in our Spring Boot application. So please do like, share and subscribe my channel to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.